Hello everyone, I'm Harry. Today I want to tell you about a child squirts the ant's nest with a water gun and suffers from wild revenge. The movie is called The Ant Bully. The movie started. An army of ants was taking a lunch break, suddenly awakened by a falling stone from the ceiling. It turned out that Zoc, the wizard, was playing tricks, saying an incantation like a scheming frog kept touching your belly. A large plate of flame crystals finally came out. The army of ants was busy carrying food on the ground. Suddenly a big face fell to the ground, making everyone scared. Lucas, the skinny boy, was bullied by Steve, the big fat boy. Other friends were also booing. Lucas was so angry that he picked up the water gun and attacked the ants that were weaker than him. Beyond the human's eyes, it was just a squirt. But with the ants, it was a catastrophe. Zoc and Hover fled outside. In the imagination of the ants, Lucas was a monster. He kicked the homeland with a ham. His soles were like Ultraman's hoofs. If his grandma didn't tell him to go home, he would make the whole garden chaotic. His mother asked him why he was not happy today. How could he be happy if he was bullied? Zoc asked God to give him a magic prescription. He wanted to turn Lucas, who trampled on his homeland, into a villain. He tried many times but she had no success. What a pity. The senior statesman made it speed up, or else the entire home would be destroyed. Zoc found a crack in the crystal and immediately added some resin to it. This trick finally worked. He made a magic potion. He was so excited that he fell into a state of madness. Hover watched quietly. At that moment, Lucas suddenly watered the ant nest with a hose. The flood swept through the sand, and the medicine just made was washed too. The beautiful home was destroyed in an instant and the harvest used for a year was destroyed. Stan, an exterminator, suddenly appeared behind Lucas, tricking him into signing a pest control contract. Zoc and Hover got out of the water and a firefly found the magic potion. On that night, they sneaked into Lucas' room quietly and poured the magic potion into his ears. When Lucas woke up, he found out everything in front of him was so big. It turned out that he was turned into a baby shape. He inadvertently fell into a bag. He became not as big as a potato chip. His grandma woke up and saw that Lucas was taken away by the ant team. Lucas's hard days have come. He was thrown directly into the ant hole. In free fall, he was stuck with glue by a decorator. He swung several large swings in a row and then landed safely. He landed just in front of a big worm. Both of them were so scared that they yelled. After a magical journey, Lucas was taken to court by the ants. The ants wanted to steam him, but the beautiful and generous queen said, killing him could only solve the momentary hatred. If you wanted long-term peace, you had to change his nature. The queen decided to let Lucas live with everyone, and turned him into a little ant. Lucas and Zoc were shocked. Hover immediately stood up and said, "This is my responsibility." She also drew a cross on her heart, showing that she would never eat Lucas. Lucas agreed to follow Hover to experience the life of ants. Ants' day was busy. Lucas joined the blue team. They started the game to see which team moved the candy first. There was a small ditch in front of them. The ants made a ladder and passed the ditch smoothly. Lucas tried to jump over, but he failed. Teammates took the ladder to rescue him. The ants were such unity and cooperation. They didn't like to fight alone like humans. Then, the ants swang together again. Looking over the sapling, Lucas was the first to come to the candy side. Other teammates turned themselves into a slingshot, and launched quickly to the candy. The team picked the candy and started to go back. Lucas was at the end. He couldn't climb up the small slope. It was annoying. Teammates quickly took the ladder to get him, but he broke the jar and gave up. The team lost the game, but the teammates didn't blame Lucas. They thanked him for his hard work. Hover followed Lucas to do mental work for him. A glass focused on the sun and almost burned him. Hover noticed the danger and immediately dragged him to escape. It turned out that the bee army came to grab the food. The big worm was caught. The ant army launched a counterattack calmly. Zoc slew on the battlefield and threw pebbles to the enemy. He fought with a bee that was bigger than him. Then came another wave of glue attack, knocking down many bee fighters. All the ants went up together, surrounding the captive. Lucas and Hover were watched by the enemy. Hover told Lucas to run out of the forest, and she was caught by the enemy. Lucas escaped into the jungle. The shadow of the enemy keeps appearing in the mirror. He was so scared that he yelled and was knocked to the ground by artillery. He immediately used glass to focus the sunlight and ignited the lead. The enemy wanted to eat him and entangled him. The poisonous needle on the butt pierced the artillery but couldn't pull it out. The loud noise of the artillery explosion scared the enemy, and they dropped Hover. They run away from this scary place immediately. Lucas used his ingenuity to save everyone. Everyone bowed to him, but Zoc's prejudice against Lucas was very huge. He believed that humans were the natural enemy of ants. Back in the cave, everyone entertained Lucas to eat green honeydew. The more he ate this thing, the more he wanted to have another plate. Lucas realized that the honeydew was the urine of the big worm. He felt that the whole body was bad. Hover took Lucas to visit the ant museum. All ants were children of the queen. There was also a picture of Cloud Breather on the wall. Lucas took a look at it. Wasn't this the exterminator? He signed a pest control contract with Stan. Thinking of this, Lucas brought his teammates to his house. He was ready to call to cancel the contract. Everyone took the Rose flying vehicle and embarked on a wonderful adventure. There were many colorful candies on the table, and the ants started to carry the candies. And through Grandma's reading glasses, Lucas found Stan's number. He dialed the number immediately. But he didn't know that the other side was only selling pizza. Lucas spoke nonsense to the phone. He thought he had already cancelled the pest control order. After returning to the cave, Zoc, who has made a potion, said in front of Lucas that he would not give the potion to Lucas. Lucas was angry and ran into the jungle. After Hova knew about it, she criticized Zoc. He said he was a selfish ghost. Teammates also felt that Zoc had done too much. Lucas came to the pond alone and just washed his face. A huge frog came out. It stretched its tongue out without demur. The teammates who came over happened to see this. A group of little guys ran wildly. The ant easily climbed onto a can. But how could Lucas climb with bare hands? He was swept away by the frog's tongue and fell into the frog's belly. At this critical moment, Zoc suddenly appeared. He sent himself to the frog's mouth. The ant was holding a frog's tongue to tickle. A big sneeze rescued Lucas and a group of people. After experiencing life and death, Lucas also forgave Zoc. They became friends again. Friendship in the fairy tale world was so wonderful. Early the next morning, Zoc saw a big ant in the grass. He thought it was the queen passing by. But Lucas took a clear look. There was not the queen. Stan was here. The ant army will immediately hold an emergency meeting. Lucas said that this exterminator was very good. The bag was full of fatal weapons. With the power of ants, they couldn't beat Stan. Lucas and Zoc decided to seek the help of bees. The two sides quickly reached a consensus to protect their homes. Ants and bees allied. They planned to spray Zoc's shrinking potion into Stan's ears. The first wave of attack soon began, and the ants avoided the black smoke. They came to Stan's side and shot the potion into him. But Stan wore earphones. The medicine didn't work at all. Stan's black smoke also killed many bees and ants. Zoc wanted to take the opportunity to attack but was pinched by Stan's finger. Zoc fell into the jungle. Lucas bravely escaped Stan. He fell on Stan's hair and he began to scratch the head. Lucas immediately went down through Stan's head. He slipped from the nose and was thrown out by a snorting. Hova flew there and rescued Lucas. Stan slapped him all the way. He was about to fire. Today we will get rid of these little bugs. Hova was under the bee. She couldn't move. At the critical moment, Lucas exploded with great power. He lifted a bee several times heavier than his body. He was carrying the bee and running. Stan's poisonous smoke spread. Lucas picked up the plane and climbed onto the straight plank to escape. And saw Stan was going to kill again. The frustrated pigworm was carried by his teammate, flying into Stan's trouser tube, and bit him. The bee fighter was targeting Stan's butt and bit him. The shrinking potion was finally injected, and Stan was rapidly getting smaller. He had to ride a pulley to leave this scary place. At the end of the film, thousands of ants gathered together again to listen to the Queen's speech. Lucas became the hero who saved the ants. Zoc gave the potion that could turn him back to normal shape to him. Lucas finally changed back to his original shape. He was no longer afraid of Steve. He united with classmates and drove Steve away. This fantasy movie is called The Ant Bully. Don't underestimate small insects. Some experts say, if the flea was so big it could jump over 100 floors of a tall building. And ants are veritable Hercules. An ordinary ant can lift a thing 400 times heavier than its weight. If it became a human, it could lift a thing with 30,000 kilograms. It's scary to think about it. Like and subscribe for more reviewing videos.